All right, welcome to Mirrors and Triggers. And this is the second part of our three-part series with, what was the first one? Manifesting, mantras, and mission statements. I knew it was an M. And I actually really enjoyed the conversation we had about manifesting, and I wish that we had more time actually to discuss how to or kind of take it into practice, and maybe we can do that in the future. But today we're going to talk about mantras, and I think that there's kind of a connection at the end of the last one. We talked about taking what you were looking for and then changing it into an I am statement, and you had talked a little bit about how that is now becoming a mantra. And so why don't you kind of start with your ideas on mantras and how to create them, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, when we started chatting about this, you and I talked, and I decided to look up what mantra actually meant, at least by Google terms, right? And I have my own view, but Google actually says a word or a sound repeated to aid concentration and meditation, or a statement or slogan repeated frequently. And I actually use both forms of those. When I'm in meditation, sometimes the chatter is so loud, I literally use just the sound, which can be a mantra, to kind of quiet my brain so that everything else is working, so that my brain has to focus on what that is. Or like a little statement in that, I think I've mentioned this before, but as when I'm teaching people to meditate, if they've never done it before, one of my favorites is I am love. I am love. And when you're repeating that, it's really hard for your brain to venture off into other places, which helps you actually get into that meditative state. The second thing was a statement or slogan repeated frequently, which is more of what we're talking about today. And I love this list because, like the manifestation list, it's something that you read every day to change your mindset, change how you perceive the world, maybe change how others perceive you, actually change something about you if that's what you're looking for. So I wanted to kind of start with mine. I'm gonna read you a portion of my daily mantra manifestation list. My favorite, and you don't have to do it this way, but I think it's so effective. And Spencer, you brought this up in the last episode, was you started with I statements. Again, that's exactly what I do. I'm sure you and I have talked about this several times. So my very first one is I am a money magnet. I make millions of dollars annually. I am always happy because I know how to control my reaction response to the world around me. I am super creative and constantly have ideas. I'm an action girl. Ideas, then action. I detox properly and I am healthy. I am calm and I meditate at least twice daily. I live with real love. I look for ways to serve. I work with those who value me, my knowledge, and my resources. I release all fears and negative scripts daily. I take time for me as a priority. I am just perfect the way that I am, but I choose to keep learning and growing. These are just a few of the ones. Everything after that gets pretty personal to me, so I don't want to share that with you, but these are just good mantra. They're mantra meditation, manifestation type statements that I repeat to myself daily. I literally open up the notes on my phone. That's where it's at. And this is what I repeat to myself daily, every single morning. And if I can remember, at night as well, just to help it soak in. That's where I want my mind to be. And that's what mantras is all about, is where do you want your mind focusing? Where you put the energy is where you will be. So you got to write down what you actually want.
So I want to hop in and ask a question and then make a comment. Um,
Okay. Let's do it.
so the first question is, what is the difference for you between a mantra and a mission statement that we're going to talk about on our next episode?
I think that's an excellent question, and I'm not sure if I have distinct lines. I think I love that we're separating these three out from the manifestation, mantra, and mission statement. I think a mission statement should be one creative thought that is encompassing all of what you're striving to be. And a mantra, like I have several mantras, right? A mission statement should be one statement, kind of like where you were going with your manifesting list for a partner. You have one long list. I would call that more of a mission statement instead of like, but that's a mission statement to me, is more of an all encompassing type statement
Got it.
where it's not as detailed.
No, that's good. And we'll talk about that on the next episode. But I kind of wanted to separate the two, yet they are very linked. And the thing that I
Yes.
think is interesting is we went from manifesting, but you have to know what you want to manifest. And so that kind of becomes your mantra, which is the I am statements. I am this, I am that, right? And
Mhm.
and I have, like I said, my list evolved to a mission statement, into a mantra. But I wanted to comment on the mantra that you just shared is a mantra that is not something that you're going to come up with overnight, right?
No.
That's
Yeah.
like the
Also
advanced
evolving.
that's the advanced version of a mantra, a personal mantra that you are now reading on a daily basis, which I think goes a long ways. And if we can back it up and kind of start with the very basic, and you had commented this at the beginning, a very simple mantra, or one of the purposes of the mantra might be to replace um, some beliefs that you have. Can you kind of give me your
Yeah. A
thoughts on that?
negative thought or feeling. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm muting
Yeah.
myself for a second because of an airplane.
Okay. You cut out there for a minute. Yeah. A negative thought or feeling is always good to replace and to, to give yourself to fill that empty space with positivity and love. um Honestly, I am love came from this deep space within me, not that I came up with those words, that it's I started that with myself when I was learning to meditate years ago, and my mind was just so chattery, and I could not silence that and get into that deep space where people say, "Oh, I've solved the puzzle to the universe," kind of meditation. I wanted that deeply for myself, and that's where I am love came from. And as soon as I started chanting that in my personal time, I mean, tears would just flow down my face, and I would start to feel it and understand that I was the source of love. I was drawing that source from a higher source, but I was love, and I'm the protector of my love. I'm the shielder of my love. I'm the giver of my love. I am the source for me.
And I want to dig into that. Um, so for you personally, going to I am love means a lot to you. And
Mhm.
was there times in your life that you didn't feel loved?
Completely. Yeah, and times where I was told that I was mean and not worthy of love, and that no one would love me or no one would accept me, or um and that was all. I believed that because my deep rooted conditioning was I'm just a poor country girl and, I'll never amount to anything. So
Right.
yeah, it was easy to believe that negative, that story, that script that
And
was in my head.
and the reason I wanted to touch on that is because our mantras, you've gone from I am love to you are all these other things, but you had to
Mhm.
start with I am love, right?
Yeah, I
And
did.
as you were talking, I mean, those that are watching, they saw me look back. I was looking at the Return to Love book that I have that I read not so long ago that I think kind of fits into this. But the reason I ask that is because when we back up, when we go to a simple mantra, the very root of who we are, for you, the very root is you are love. For me,
Mhm.
I had to start telling myself I am enough, right?
Mm.
That I had to believe myself that I am enough by myself without anybody else, without outside validation. I am enough. And there were times when I was really struggling emotionally, whether I was feeling lonely or I was feeling taken advantage of, or whatever the case. There were times when I had to sit and take a deep breath in while I was saying, I am enough as I breathed in. And then when I exhaled, I would say, more than enough. And I say, I am
Mm.
enough, more than enough. Right. And I would do that to try to help get my breathing and my body back to a state where I could now start to function again. And so there
Mhm.
were many times that I had to go back to that very simple statement. There's no way that I would have been able to read my big long list of all these other things that I know that I am now. But at that point, the very basics of what I needed to hear was I am enough, more than enough. And you needed to hear I am love, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I
Yeah.
think one of the things that I have learned or I'm learning, because the other thing that's really important is I don't want to sit here and pretend like I have everything together because I absolutely don't. But on occasion, I do okay. Um, and there are times that I actually respond the way that I should, or at least know how I should. But one of the things for me that was super important, and I still struggle with this at times, is understanding that my validation comes from looking within and looking up, to whatever your higher power is. It doesn't come from who I'm with. It doesn't come from what car I drive. It doesn't come from however many likes I have on social media or how hot the person is that I'm with, right? It
Mhm.
comes from looking within and looking up. And if I'm happy with who I am, then I'm going to show that confidence. But it comes from building on the very basic mantra for me of I am enough.
Mhm. Yeah. I like that mantra because it proves, how you and I have this different base feeling. Everyone has their own thing and they need to find what that is. And it's usually, I mean, I bet you knew it almost right away. Like I'm enough for me. And I know in talking to you over this period of time, over the last 2.5 years, it's been in you already. That's kind of your little statement, your mantra that you've always been saying, but now it is your actual mantra. And that's my I am love is always at the base of everything. I want to exude love. I want to show love. I want to give love. I want to be that bearer of love. And sometimes we can react. That's why one of the biggest things on my mantras is about reaction. I always want to react in love. We can't control anything else in our world but the way that we act when something's happened around us. And I always want that to show love. So that's, I think, your mantras need to be who you are, but also who you want to be.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, um, when you write out who you are and who you strive to be,
Mm-hmm.
and you read through that, and then you take stock as to, are you that person yet at the level that you want to be? And if not, what can you do to get there? Right.
Yeah.
um
Those little tweaks.
and I there's a few things that I have done and that I'm going to do again. It's been on my list of things to do, but I evaluate, for me. So I have this mantra, or this statement that I put together, and I am I am all these things, and I'm going to take stock for relationships that I have been in. Was I truly those things, or was I deficient in some of those things? And then come up with a game plan so that I am those things, so that I'm not deficient in those things in the future. Right? Hold myself accountable, to what I learned and what I need to learn and how I can do better.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think that's an excellent way to look at it. Yeah. So do you have um any mantras other than, like, do you have something that you say every day, Spencer, other than I am enough? Is there an add-on to that, or is that just your base of I know what that means and that's all I need within myself?
You know what? As we talk about it, I realize that I need to do it more often, on a more regular basis. You know, I can't even say
Mhm.
that I tell myself I am enough, more than enough, on a daily basis. But I do go there when I'm struggling, right?
Mhm.
When I'm, feeling anxious, or if I'm stressed out about work, or whatnot. I will go to that spot where I sit down and I will consciously do that. Um, I do read, but not daily, my statement of my I am statement. And
Mhm.
now that we've had our last little conversation about that, I'm realizing that I need to add and probably create a daily one, that doesn't need some of the attributes that we're trying to manifest, but who I am as a core person, and make sure that I hold myself accountable to that every day. You know,
Right. Right. So I have a little thing that popped up that I was thinking of. I have this dear friend who as a child, he was told he is the most handsome, he's the smartest, he's the most capable, in a mantra type way, where his parents, specifically his mother, was sharing with him what she saw in him and how she believed he was. And he grew up never doubting himself. He knew he could do it. And they were just poor, poor farm kids. I mean, they didn't have two pennies to rub together, but he believed he was capable of flying to the moon, even without a rocket. Like, he truly believed that. And I was talking with him the other day, and he said, I never, ever doubted it. And he's in his 50s until his mom died. And that it's a two-part thing, and I'd love to, go off into where we root our belief. But if we can see ourselves as that small child and be us as a child, but also us as the parent, and talk to our child, talk to our inner self, our inner child, and tell ourselves every single day what we wish we heard, or what we should hear, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Be positive and mantra the hell out of ourselves. We can become that person, because when it all comes down to it, we're all making choices out of fear. And where I love to use my mantra system, what I read to you earlier, is using that to step out of fear and into a new belief pattern where it's like, I mean, I say, like, I am successful. I make this much money a year. I react differently. I am love to myself. I am love to others. I am everything I want to be, basically. And I list it out in detail so that it's in my mind. Things that are repeated, there's a reason why we need repetition. So it imprints inside of us, and that becomes our belief.
Yeah, and something else that it's a whole different topic, but I think we can go on there is your friend whose mom helped instill that in him, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We need to go back and kind of help reinstill some of these beliefs in ourselves.
Right.
But while we're doing that, let's make sure that we do that for our kids.
Right.
You know, like
Yep.
I grew up um, being the one of the younger of a very large family, and and so I'm six of seven kids, and we came from a very humble background, but I have some very accomplished siblings. I have two siblings that were valedictorians. I have three siblings that um, held a state record in track, and they were, all my siblings were athletic and smart and talented, and I'm athletic and smart and talented too, but I'm not a valedictorian. I didn't hold a state record in anything. And so this is where that belief of you're not enough came from,
Mm-hmm.
right? I told myself I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't, I'm going to share um, a little example. And this one, it's funny now, but it was a pain. When I was in fifth grade, I have a brother. Um, I have a brother who's a year and a half older than me, and we were very competitive in almost every way. And he was in sixth grade, and I was in fifth grade, and we were in track. My family was fairly decent at that, and I ran the mile. The fifth graders ran the mile, and I won my class. And I won my class at 6 minutes and 10 seconds as a fifth grader, right? I felt pretty good about that. And I was like, that's a solid score or time, right? And I was just confident that I was going to beat my brother who was going to run in the next race with the sixth graders. And my brother won his, and he got 6 minutes and 9 seconds. And I just, one more time, I just wasn't enough by 1 second, right? But it was these little things that started to make me have this core belief that I'm not enough. And it's taken a lot of work to climb out of that, self-belief, and to get to the point where I'm like, no, I am enough. I'm a smart guy. I can do this. I can do that. I have a lot going for me, but I didn't believe it for a very long time. And there's some days that you slip into some negative beliefs, and you have to have this process to pull you out, which goes back to my deep breathing. I'll go lay on my bed, close my eyes, put my hands on my chest, and take a deep breath. I am enough, more than enough. And I'll just do that for a little bit to help get me back to where I know I need to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, there's things that happen to us growing up that we do need to go back, and we need to show some love to that small child who is ourselves, right? Give them that love, and then make sure that we are taking the opportunities to build our own kids up,
Mm-hmm.
which is not always easy.
No.
And it's
Not when you're feeling negative yourself or they're being very difficult.
Well, yeah, no, and it's very true. Even this past week or so, I was stressed about some things with a client. I was stressed about some other items going on, and then my children were not getting along with each other. Um, I lost it, right? Like I didn't respond the way that I should have responded. Um, and and I know it wasn't my kids. They just took the brunt end of me being frustrated.
Hmm.
Um, and I do think that if we can own that and then make sure that we tell them, hey, that was me being frustrated because of this, that, and the other. Yes, you guys might not have needed to fight and whine and do that kind of stuff, but I need to own my stuff, right? But we can sit down with them when they're going to bed and we can tell them, you are this. I really like it when you do XYZ. Or, um, one of my ex-wives, in their family, her mother would say, you are, um, what'd she say? You are my most favorite, and then name of whatever grandchild it was in the whole world, right? Just those little things. If as a child, they say, you are my most favorite Spencer in the whole world. And you hear that as a little kid, that goes a long ways, right? And then tell
Hmm.
yourself that. Tell that inner child that you are that. So,
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you. Create that mantra for your own children and any children that you have interaction with. Even if you're not a parent, you can create that and instill that. They will be drawn to you for that because they now have that connection. It's a beautiful thing to I mean, I think that's our biggest issue with society is we don't tell ourselves enough positive things and we're not telling others enough positive things, and we all live in fear of what we should be, what we can't be, what we could be, and coming together and just being positive, even sharing a smile with someone, that's a positive way. That could be that mantra.
you know what, there's, we're going to kind of sidetrack here for a second, but having self-awareness is a good thing, right? When
Mhm.
we can start to become self-aware. And I know for me, it's not always easy for me to give compliments.
Yeah.
Um, and and sometimes if I look at that, is it because I'm not confident of my own self, and so therefore I'm afraid to build other people up, right? And so if you can build yourself up, and I have found some of the best ways to build myself up is by building other people up. There's an individual that I know that everybody loves being around this individual because he is so confident, not confident, but just positive about. You walk up to him and they say, hey, Spencer, you are the whatever, 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 that I know. And you're like, man, what an awesome guy, right? Um, so
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing when you can do that. So, mantras, little statements, things that you want to be or are, or just want to reinforce in yourself, just it doesn't have to be big and it can start small, like we talked about, like I am love. If that needs to be your mantra for a while, take it and use it. If it needs to be I am confident, if it needs to be I am enough or more than enough, use it, because you have to start somewhere. Spencer and I started there. I mean, Spencer's still doing it and I am still using my base too. Like when I have a rough day, which man, this week has been rough already and it's only Wednesday, I sit down and just say, I am love. I am love. And I get quiet. And if it causes me to cry, great. And if it doesn't, it just reinstills in me, in that inner child, that it's okay, because love to me is light. And I'll take love and light any day over anything else.
the other thing, and then we can probably wrap this topic up here pretty soon. But the other thing that I think is important for all of us to remember is that it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel. If we have a bad day, it's okay to have a bad day. And it's okay to recognize that today was hard.
Mhm.
It's okay to recognize that I am hurting or this is happening, but I just need to remember that I am enough, right? I I, I have ignored how I felt for a long time. Just put on rose-colored glasses and pretend everything's good, but inside I'm dying. That's not how to live, but being able to sit down and say it's okay to feel frustrated because this happened. That's normal.
Right.
And then you let that process through it, and then once you process through it, then you're like, okay, now what am I going to do about it?
Mhm.
Right? I am enough.
Right.
Um
Yep.
so
I am
anyways,
love. I am love and I am enough. Use them. Use them. Use them. They're there. Okay. Thank
all
you for
right.
joining us for mantras. I think that was an easier episode.
It was easier, and we'll move into mission statements here. Also, if you do have any comments, go ahead and post them. You can respond to us on social media, or you can send us an email, mirrorsandtriggers@gmail.com. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode.